The Nazca Lines, known as geoglyphs and related to a culture of the coast of southern Peru, these are large line drawings made in the soil of the Nazca Desert over an area of 500 square kilometers between 500 BC and 500 AD. There are three basic types of Nazca lines: straight lines, geometric designs, and pictorial representations. 2,000 years ago, Nazca people mostly constructed 300 lines. The essence of these lines are plants and animals such as monkeys, which are 360 feet long, a killer whale 210 feet long, a spider 150 feet long. Apart from these, several plants, trees, flowers, as well as geometric shapes were also included. These Nazca lines were created on the ground by removing rocks and soil to reveal the mystery underground. Entirely, there were 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, 70 figures related to plants and animals called biomorphs. These lines are particularly famous for their colorful pottery, textiles, and geoglyphs. Nazca lines were visited by people from around the world because they were full of mysteries and hypotheses about their formation. In the 1920s, during unearthing, various lines were expounded, but several remained mysterious. In 1941, according to the American historian Paul Kossock, who observed lines from an airplane, these lines were mainly drawn for astronomical purposes. Maria Reich, known as the Lady of the Lines, a German translator who studied a lot about these lines, quotes that it was a huge calendar, and some of the animal sketches can be seen in the sky after grouping the stars at night. However, in 1967, the American astrophysicists did not find any interdependence between astronomy and Nazca lines. In 1968, according to a Swedish writer, Eric von Däniken, in his book Chariot of the Gods, asserted that these lines were landing sites for UFOs and ancient people who took them as alien gods. In the 1960s, however, American astronomer Gerald Hawkins opposed the astronomical and alien-related explanations. Johann Reinhardt, astronomer, said, "Look at the large ecological system. What's around Nazca? Where were the Nazca people located?" That obtained 20 minutes rain per year. He also drew the attention towards the climate of the region. Although many key points have kicked around before, however, there are still many more to discuss. This piece of land is more than 80 kilometers between the towns of Nazca and Palpa. The Nazca lines are located on the pampas of Jumana in the Nazca Desert in the department of Iza in southern Peru, about 400 kilometers from the capital Lima. Drawings on the ground made by removing rocks and dirt from the ground to create divergent images. Those rocks have a deep rust color, and when the top layer of the rock is removed from 12 to 15 inches, a light-colored sand is shown. The width of the lines is slightly more than 33 centimeters. In some areas, the width of the lines is 30 centimeters, but in other areas, the width reaches up to 1.8 meter, whereas the depth of these lines is 10 to 15 centimeters. The total combined length of Nazca lines has been estimated at over 1,300 kilometers. The researchers conceded that these Nazca lines were used as an ancient form of communication in the Nazca Desert. Over the years, many questions have been raised that aliens played a part in the creation of Nazca lines. But it was proved that there was no advanced technology to create these lines. Many Nazca lines can be seen clearly from the above and easy to find the purpose of those lines. So there might be a possibility that Nazca people may have had some kind of hot air balloons or simple aircraft to view their creations from above. However, that idea was not successful in the long run. The purpose of Nazca line remains mysterious. Nobody knows why they have created it. However, there are different thoughts related to these lines. The most popular thought is it had a religious purpose. Some say that these lines were entertaining their gods, who were in heaven and seeing them from there. Few had considered these lines for water ceremonies in the arid lands for much rain. Scientists say that the impetus of these lines is related to religious rituals, while others say that these Nazca lines were used as an old form of communication. It is predictable that the meaning of the lines changed over time or were used for a variety of purposes. Since the 1940s, researchers and scientists have tried to determine their meaning or purpose. There are several Nazca lines theories worth noting. The Nazca lines have faced significant disintegration over the years because they struggled along the dry spots on lands with very limited rainfall that might have washed away the remains. Another concern, which is related to preserving the Nazca lines, is that a major highway runs right through the heart of some of the geoglyphs. Some other serious concerns like smog and irresponsible drivers are big threats. Moreover, a semi-trailer driver, Janer Jesus Flores, of 40 years, transgressed the warning signs and drove over the Nazca lines and damaged the site. The Nazca Lines created these geoglyphs by removing the dark red topsoil and stone and exposed the underlying soil. The land where the lines were whittled obtained little rain or wind, so the lines are still visible today. The exposed designs have stayed unscathed for 500 to 2,000 years. These lines can be viewed by climbing an observation tower called Mirador, situated on a hillside by the Pan-American Highway 20 kilometers north of Nazca. The Condor geoglyph is the most famous Nazca line, which is 40 feet long and can be seen as you fly over the lines. The Nazca people were polytheistic, who believed in more than one god such as Hinduism, Shintoism, Thelema, Taoism, Esotru, and Candomblé, and were pantheistic, who showed belief that God is everywhere and everything within the universe. Many buildings and temples were constructed in their honor to entertain the god. Since 2004, Masato Sakai, an archaeologist with his team from Yamagata University in Japan, has discovered 143 new lines in the Peruvian desert. They discovered new geoglyphs representing humans, animals, and abstract objects. The team recognized two figures. The first figure was large and in the shape of an animal. There they found smashed pottery, which is related to their ritual and ceremonial area and can be seen absolutely from above, while the other figure was smaller and situated near paths and can be seen from ground level. In October 2020, archaeologists with their staff discovered a cat-shaped geoglyph with cleaning, which was 121 feet long and barely visible. But they kept cleaning to find the real shape. The cat resembles the figures found in textiles of the Paracas culture. The geoglyph, which is at the side of the hill, has a risk of disappearing due to natural attrition. But scientists are trying to protect these geoglyphs for tourism. Although the weather is not a big threat for these lines, however, metropolitan area is. The Nazca Lines are a remarkable archaeological wonder, showing the creativity and ingenuity of the ancient Nazca people. Although much is known about the Nazca Lines, the true purpose is to find out the mystery behind these lines. This site has attracted and fascinated people's attention, which is why the archaeologists and researchers have been trying to protect these sites for many generations. If you enjoyed this video, take a moment to hit the like and subscribe buttons before leaving and ring the bell icon to stay tuned. See you another time.